Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you coming on out. Day one of spring ball, as you would expect, right? Lots of energy out there. And, the coaches, we have a few new coaches. They come from really good programs, so it was no surprise that they were on point and picked up the pace very quickly as we adapt to a couple different schemes. Certainly some players, standing out a little bit more than others, but overall with day one, in the books, the things that stand out is accountability, running around from point A to point B, finishing plays, certainly energy overall, an attempt to improve culture was evident. And I would say that execution overall for a day one was fairly decent. So that being said, lots to build on, lots of good film to watch. Big junior day today, so a lot going on here today in Coral Gables. Questions, please.
You mentioned the attempt to improve culture. Can you
Yes.
expand on that a little bit? Maybe what was the missing piece from last year you want to install this year?
Well, I think the first thing is not ever going back to previous years. I think that's the most important thing. I also think it's understanding that we do things a certain way, right? No matter where we've been, no matter where we go. And that's at a really high level. Like, accountability is a real thing as it relates to, your individual periods, your team periods, finishing a rep, going to class, taking care of your body, putting the right stuff in your body, making sure that, hey, football hurts a little bit. You got to finish, bumps and bruises, shake it off, go on to the next play. Being tough and being resilient, having the accountability to come in here late and stay late and make sure you know your playbook so that you are going the right way and doing the right thing. Also, I think tremendous job by a lot of the older guys bringing in a bunch of new faces, 20 plus new guys. That, again, when you come in mid-year, that's typically a pretty challenging situation. They've done a great job bringing them in, teaching them how we do things, and getting them up to speed on the systems that we've implemented. So, all in all, that's a good way to summarize that.
Can you go into your new coaches on the staff and just what you liked about them in terms of bringing into your organization?
Going to all the new coaches. All right, Cam's giving me a bunch of sheets. Well, I think whenever you make moves or you have moves on the coaching staff, it's always, I've always thought about this way, always done it. It's always an opportunity to upgrade. It's what we've always done. And in this profession, I think it's you've got to do what you do. You have a job to do. I got a job to do over here as well. And sometimes you move coaches on because it doesn't fit. Sometimes you have an opportunity to get a better person in a situation and you create those situations. Sometimes the coach has a better opportunity from a family standpoint, a monetary standpoint. But either way, you're always positioned to have a depth chart to make sure you can make the moves and bring people in. And we hit on our top targets at the different positions that we were aiming for. I think that it all starts where they're all elite human beings. That was at the top of the food chain in terms of criteria. I think in terms of Coach Shannon Dawson, it's what can you say? The guy's created some explosive offenses over the years. He's done it in the air. He's done it on the ground. He's been able to combine both the principles of getting downhill in the run game and some of the air raid pass principles, but a great screen game and a great intermediate game. So I think Coach Lance Guidry, and we've all seen those edits and all those whatnot. I don't really get caught up in that stuff, but the fact that I have coached against him and seen the teams that he has coached, and they're different. They come at you 100 miles per hour and they're physical and they finish plays and they play with a lot of energy and a lot of physicality. Coach Harris, he's a true professional. A lot of people always mention Coach Ice and then, Coach Harris, they're father and son, two elite coaches and human beings. And I think it's important to say that Tim Jr. is here independently of any other accomplishments. And he's really worked his way into being a co-coordinator and whatnot and being a great coach. With tremendous, I would say, a tremendous reputation as a developer of talent. Kevin Beard, these are guys that I've been looking at and talked to a lot over the years. Coach Beard is, besides being a great player, he was a guy that when he was here was always a guy getting guys together for extra meeting time, keeping them after practice to run extra routes, finding a way to make sure everybody's taking care of business in school and study hall. He's that kind of a guy. Jason Taylor we had here, we had identified him as another guy we thought was an elite member that we needed to keep on our staff, and we were able to do that with him. And then Coach Nicholson, man, he is another one. I mean, this guy, you want to talk about energy, detail, coaching acumen, he checks all the boxes and then some. So hard to fit all that information in one little shot here, but hopefully that's a good summary for you.
Ari, we always ask you about attendance because guys obviously have surgery and all kinds
Yes.
of different things in the off season. I guess can we go down the list of who will be here, who won't be?
No, we won't go down the list, but we do have a good chunk of guys that are going to miss. Some of them are probably going to participate halfway through spring in a limited capacity, and some guys will take the entire spring to mend, to get back. So, and you know what? Credit to them. Some of those guys fought through stuff throughout the season. Some of those guys had lingering things before the season, and some of them just had, things happen at some point in time or the other. But we feel very optimistic that everyone on the team will be ready for the season start. And in the meantime, you guys don't get to watch it. When they're in here, our return and play specialist, Joe Girardi, does an unbelievable job training these guys. When they come back, they are ready to come back. And he has a great track record and a great regimen to get these guys prepared. They're probably having a much harder day with Joe Girardi than they do at practice. Joe gets after him, and we expect those guys to be ready.
Zion is one of the guys we didn't see. Obviously, he was dealing with that injury.
Yes.
Just how is he doing in his?
He's doing well. He's on the mend, and right now doctors prefer that he continue to heal up until we get to a point where we can really, really go. And so we're going to be patient with him. He feels good about it. The doctors feel good about it, so we'll stay the course.
Is Mesidor, I thought I saw him out there. Is he practicing fully? Is he and Leonard Taylor?
Right. So Mesidor will be ready maybe halfway through spring ball. He's doing very limited work right now with the team. His is more minor. Leonard isn't, I wouldn't say Leonard's is major, but Leonard will require all of spring to heal up. He'll be full go probably at the beginning of May. All right. Now in the meantime, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, both those guys and anybody else on that list, they have taken a pretty significant jump in terms of their overall body strength minus whatever they're healing out. So.
How would you assess the strengths of the roster?
One more time, I'm sorry?
How would you assess the specific strengths of the roster?
Sure. Okay, well, I think the part that really stands out, we had a couple guys at the NFL symposium today. Then the NFL has the draft. They fly up a couple high-level prospects, so Javion Cohen wasn't here today. But what really stands out, right to say, is the mass and athleticism and power in the offensive line, right? That really sticks out. I think when, Elijah Roy is going to heal up good. He's a big dude now. And when you watch the way Jaleel has grown and you watch Cam McCormick, in his 8th year, you guys keep saying his 10th year. It's not his 10th year, it's his 8th year. Cam McCormick, Riley Williams, Jackson Carver, Dom's a little bit banged up. This is a very big and talented physical group of tight ends, which is going to be really good for us. Our running backs, our signees aren't here yet, so we're status quo there, but Don Chaney is healthy, okay? The biggest uptick in just energy levels and enthusiasm has been the wide receivers, and it's due to, schematically we've adapted, we've changed, right? We've done some things to help us create more explosive plays, and they see opportunity, and they've been very, I would say, very diligent, very proactive in their approach to getting better and helping our offense. Defensive line-wise is where we have some more guys that are still on the mend, so that part is not going to look to what it's going to look like in the fall. At linebacker, we have a couple of additions and still a couple guys that are on their way back, so that'll look about the same. In the secondary, you have a couple guys back. So we have a new punter in. He's really talented. He'll remind you a little bit of Lou, but he is his own man as well. And Andy is Andy, so that, how's that? Good.
What are your
Memorize all that. Was hard, man.
What are your impressions of Emory Williams so far?
Yeah, he's a real one now. That guy is talented. He is sharp. He is sorry about that. He is sharp. He is athletic. He's accurate. He's a good leader. He could take it now because we get after our quarterbacks pretty good. He responds really well, and he's also done a really good job taking to the tutelage of both Jakari and the rest of the quarterback room in general. Tyler has taken a tremendous step in terms of being a leader. So he's done a good job not only leading the quarterback room, he's done it with the offense, and he's done it with the team in general. Guy like Jakari, now he's really starting to step up as a leader with a position group and now spreading out to wide receivers. Emory and the rest of those freshmen have fallen right in line with those guys.
Where do you think the players are in terms of learning Coach Dawson's new offense, learning the defense, all the turnover?
Sure.
Where do you think they are with adjusting to that?
Well, I think football is football. Sometimes it's called, apples, sometimes oranges. So I think for day one, you're probably where you feel you should be. And let's call it what it is. You're going to play, your 12 opponents. You better use your spring better than they use it. to have a chance to be successful on game day. So that's been very much a strong theme for our guys. They've done well, they've attacked it, and we've got to stay on it. You know, look, the best thing we could be is very real, and for Miami to make steps to keep getting better and work towards what we want to be, the stuff that we do is very hard. And when it doesn't go exactly well, you keep coming. And when it gets harder, you just keep coming, and eventually it'll pop. And we're in that mode right now. So far, so good, and expect our guys to attack it even more so in the coming week.
You mentioned the different components Coach Dawson brings to an offense, but obviously he does come from the Hal Mummy, air raid. Kind of a dumb question, but how different is this offense going to look this year? And just have a guy with a different kind of perspective. How much do you think just having that helps?
Well, I think everyone has come to grips with the fact that you've got to be able to do both, but you got to do both at a high level, right? Is it a significant change for us in the passing game? I would say it is. There's always some carryover. You know, just because some plays don't work doesn't mean they were the wrong plays. Sometimes there's carryover, there is a concept that's relative to it, but overall, you know, in the passing game, yeah, there's going to be significant differences. I think you see in the running game as well. You see a coordinator that's very, how would you say it, collaborative in terms of the use of his offensive line coach, who's very experienced and has been in charge of some more prominent run games in the country. A running back coach that has done the same at his different stops as well. So you're looking at a coordinator that's had great success creating explosive plays. And when they had to throw it for 4,000 and rush for 1,800, they have. When they had to go perfectly balanced, they have as well. He brings that to the table. And obviously we're so focused on improving all the different aspects. We think that he improves us in all those facets and more. So.
Mario, Jason Taylor, I know you mentioned him just now. Do you have a specific title for him yet? Or
Defensive line.
Defensive line coach?
Defensive line.
And then what does Joe?
Defensive line.
They're both defensive. Salavane.
We got a lot of coaches.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you guys.